Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Lewis was really good on the mound, and we played pretty good defense for the most part. When we had to, we played good defense, and we got some timely hits.
Sometimes in baseball it comes down to one pitch and one opportunity. They had the bases loaded with a good hitter at the plate, and he made the most of the opportunity. We had the bases loaded, and our guys at the plate, and we didn't make the most of the opportunity. So, that's what it comes down to in baseball sometimes, and they capitalized.
Well, the pendulum continues to swing back and forth in this long baseball season. You're up one week, you're down the next, you're back up. Right now, Clemson is kind of edging back up after winning 3 in a row, including a win over a good UNLV team yesterday. The two teams going back at it at Doug Kingsmore Stadium tonight at 6:30. Meantime, the Gamecocks dropped another SEC series against a team that was below them in the standings, and that certainly hurts South Carolina's efforts to win the East and also stay in the top 8 of the RPI. So a costly weekend for a banged-up USC team that now gets ready for 4 games this week, a midweek game against Wofford, then 3 at home this weekend against Missouri. We have got that to talk about. We've got transferring basketball players to talk about. The NFL draft is finally here this week, thank God. We can get this done.
Not here yet.
Well, and put it behind us. Congratulations to your Hawks. The inevitable choke over the weekend.
No, it can't be a choke.
Has to be a choke.
Better team won.
I think the Hawks, I'd like to look this up. They may have lost more Game 7s than any other franchise in history. Is that possible?
No.
I think it is.
No.
I'm going to look it up.
I would say the Lakers and Boston because they've been in more of them.
Not Boston. We win our Game 7s,
no,
baby.
they lose
when we get to them, we win. We won one yesterday, the Celtics.
No, but
we won another Game 7.
Here's the interesting thing.
I'm counting that that's a half a win for Boston.
Please. Those teams, the only one.
You saw who got the game-winning block? Paul Pierce. KG had a double-double.
In a block where he never left his feet.
Celtics. Hey, when you're 6'7", you put your hands up, you can block a shot.
Here's the deal about
a shorter guy.
Here's the deal about Toronto, and people are poo-poo this all they want. If you are a team that's not expected to win, you don't drive to the hoop. 2 reasons. They will move the defense and just swarm whoever you decide is going to drive to the hoop. Plus, in a situation like that, because of the Nets and their cachet, you're not going to get a call underneath that basket. You take the 3. Even if you watch the old Chicago Bulls teams, how many times did Jordan drive to the hoop and kick to Paxson or Kerr, and they shot a wide open 3 to win the game?
Mm-hmm.
And here's Toronto trying to go through, the Red Sea, looking for the parting of the Red Sea to get a layup. That was a ridiculous
I'll say
call.
this: that Golden State Clippers Game 7 was as good as you'll get. That was worth staying up and watching. What a fantastic game. So we got all that to talk about. We've got a post-spring football poll. We've got dueling USC Clemson football promos to play for you. We're going to talk to Clemson's newest incoming point guard and more.
Stand by.
Well, we hope you had a great weekend. Good to have you back with us here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut and the Professor Tom Hayes with you. Once again, the empty chair, Kevin McCrary, but that should be filled by tomorrow, assuming that he gets through customs okay. I'm a little bit worried. K-Mac leaves the country for an extended amount of time. No telling what contraband is going to be stuffed inside that suitcase of his. Hopefully he'll get through customs without any problems, and he'll be back with us tomorrow night. The steak man, the Honorable Graham Pope behind the bulletproof glass, very happy that he survived this trip to Charleston. Everything go okay?
Yeah, it was only a day, so I mean the odds were with me this time. So
yeah,
get in, get out.
This was the actual wedding?
Different wedding. Yes, I was in a wedding.
Different wedding.
The wedding that let's see, the preceding paintball injury is this weekend. So one more week to get through, but in Columbia, it's not in Charleston. So
this was a friend's wedding that you were in. You were a groomsman?
No, I will be in the wedding this weekend coming up.
When's your wedding?
Never. Doesn't exist.
You're going to be a bachelor? You're just going to be like
entire life, yes, sir.
Live your whole life alone? Live alone, die alone?
As of now, that's the plan.
What do you think of that, Pro?
Hey, you're about following the same thing I'm doing. not the fact that there's 2 rings sitting out somewhere. I tried, but it didn't work out.
A little something about the Pro that we did not know.
You see what you did, Corn?
Letting us inside his personal life. A man who is cloaked in mystery in terms of his personal life, letting us inside the Pro.
It's still cloaked in mystery.
All right.
Cloaked.
All right. 800-956-7266 is the number if you want to join us tonight. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. And people still commenting on last week's fiasco with Pete Yannity, but we're not going to get back into that nonsense. We did enough of that last week. The Twitter location is @SportsTalkSC. @SportsTalkSC is where you can follow us on Twitter. And the website, sportstalksc.com. Always a lot of great stuff there, recruiting and news. And you can follow us video-wise. You can watch us on our video stream in HD color. Beautiful, beautiful portrait of the two of us here, live and in action on video. Bottom of the screen on Sports Talk SC, bottom of the page is where you find the video screen. You can also hear the audio by clicking on the audio link on the website as well. And on Facebook, it is Sports Talk Radio Network. All right, let's get into the important stuff of the day. First of all, Clemson baseball coming up at 6:30. They've posted the starting lineups for their game against UNLV. And for the Tigers, it'll be Slayton and Duggar. Krieger will DH, Boulware again in left, Oki behind the plate, Kennedy at first. Baum is playing again at short with Krieger with the shoulder. They've had Baum playing at short, and he's done well. Weston Wilson at third, and Eli White gets the start today at second base, and Jake Long will start on the mound for the Tigers. He's 2-3, 4.80. He'll be opposed by right-hander Kenny Oakley, 3-4. 2.77 ERA. Clemson beat UNLV yesterday 6-2, and Steve Wilkerson was great for them yesterday. Had a homer and a couple of RBIs, but he's not in the lineup tonight. You have to check and see if there's a particular reason for that, but he's not in the lineup tonight. Not aware of any kind of an injury or anything, but we'll check and see what we can find out on that. And South Carolina lost 2 out of 3 at Georgia. Disappointing weekend for the Gamecocks. Did not get a good pitching outing yesterday from Will Crow, the freshman, who may have hit that freshman wall. He's been struggling the last few outings. Good pitching performance by Montgomery on Friday and by Wynkoop on Saturday, but not overall a lot of offensive help. The Gamecocks scored only 9 runs in the weekend. And they're still dealing with some injury issues as well. So they are slipping in the national polls. The Gamecocks, the unofficial RPI, the official RPI comes out tomorrow, but the unofficial RPI, the Gamecocks are down to number 12. They were number 1 just a few weeks ago. Now they're number 12, which, of course, that's not inside that all-valuable top 8. As far as the rankings, the Gamecocks have plummeted in Baseball America from 9 to 17, with Virginia number 1, followed by Oregon State, Louisiana Lafayette, Florida, and Florida State, then Washington, Cal Poly, Miami, Indiana, and Louisville. That's your top 10. In collegiate baseball, USC drops from 14 to 19, with Oregon State at 34-8, number 1, and Virginia, number 2. Clemson is in neither of those two rankings. The ESPN coaches top 25. USC falls from 7 to 11 with Virginia number 1. Clemson is back in the ranking at number 24. But they've got the Tigers' record wrong here. They've got the Tigers with a record of 32-14. That is not a correct record for them. They are 27-19. So I don't know if the coaches were voting on the wrong record or not.
Oops.
But in the poll, they've got the wrong record listed here for Clemson. Of course, it's ESPN, and what would you expect? They wouldn't get it right. And the Baseball Writers Association has South Carolina at number 12, down from number 7. Clemson is up a little bit from 26 to 22. They do have the record right at 28-19, and they've got Oregon State as number 1 in their poll. All right, golf. USC and Clemson and the College of Charleston will be in the NCAA Men's National Golf Tournament beginning next week, May 15 through 17, the various regionals. USC is going into the Eugene Regional out in Oregon. They will be the number 4 seed out there. Clemson is going to the Illinois Regional. And that's going to be in Sugar Grove, Illinois, and the Tigers will be the number 6 seed there. Clemson, by the way, is going for the 33rd consecutive year to the NCAA tournament. Larry Penley has just been awesome. College of Charleston is going to San Antonio as the number 11 seed for that regional. All right, and Clemson tennis, Tigers got a bid to the NCAA golf tournament today for the I'm sorry, that was golf. I'm looking at the same story. I listed this tennis, but it's actually golf, so forget that. On to other stuff. Mark Schlabach, ESPN, post-spring top 25.
Oh, Lord.
Are you ready?
Yeah, might as well.
Who do you think's number 1?
Alabama.
Wrong. Florida State is number 1.
Florida State is number 1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, didn't they lose some people?
They did, but, they got Jameis Winston back, and, he's just scratching and clawing, wanting to get back on the football field.
Clawing with what? With
you
crab
caught that,
legs?
You caught the emphasis on clawing. Crimson Tide of Alabama, number 2. Oklahoma, number 3. Auburn, number 4. Oregon, number 5. Number 6, Michigan State. Number 7, Ohio State. Number 8, Georgia. With an untested quarterback and a rebuilt offensive line.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Number 9 is Baylor. Number 10, South Carolina. 11 is Stanford. 12, UCLA. Number 13, LSU. Number 14, Texas A&M. 15, Wisconsin. 16, Blue Bellies of North Carolina. 17, Notre Dame. 18, Iowa. 19, Florida. 20, Southern Cal. 21 is Texas Tech. 22 is Clemson. 23 is Kansas State. 24 is Nebraska. And 25 is Michigan. In the spirit of the moment of having the way too early, as they call it, post-spring preseason top 25, we'll have for you coming up after the bottom of the hour break the dueling promos of Clemson and USC. Both now have come out with video promos for their respective football programs. Clemson's runs about 5 minutes. USC's runs about 90 seconds. And they both take $1:30, okay, minute 30, 90 seconds. They both take different routes to get their message across. Clemson is all about what we do well, why we are loved by our own people. We're great. USC is more in your face, as in we've not been here before, but we're here now, so deal with it. Now, kind of a different attack for both. We'll play both of those for you coming up after the bottom of the hour. You can decide which one you like the most.
I tell you what, I've seen heard your top 25. I don't think no other team has gotten more juice from a bowl win this year than last year than Oklahoma. when they beat Alabama. But Alabama doesn't show up for bowl games unless it's the national championship. When they beat Alabama. But Alabama doesn't show up for bowl games unless it's the national championship.
All across the country, people count on.
All right, we're back at Sports Talk on a Monday night from beautiful, beautiful downtown Columbia, clear and hot. I think the temperature got above 90 today. That's what I'm talking about here in South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't like it, you can leave it. This is what we live for here in South Carolina. 90 degrees, 90% humidity. That's how we were raised.
That's how you roll, man.
That's how we roll here in South Carolina. 800-956-7266. Coming up, we're going to talk with Avery Holmes. He is transferring to Clemson from San Francisco. He's going from being a Don to a Tiger. He's a point guard, and he'll be joining Clemson this year and eligible to play. But you'll hear from him as he visited Clemson over the weekend. And, of course, USC's involved in a transfer possibility as well. And we'll update the situation with Mr. House, who's transferring from Houston. We'll update that in our recruiting report coming up a little bit later on. He's one of the top players in the country coming out of high school a few years ago and went to the University of Houston, talking about Daniel House Jr., 6'7", shooting guard. Spoke with him last night. Very nice person, very nice young man, very interested in South Carolina, loves Frank Martin, the whole deal, but he's got UCLA, he's got Iowa, and he's got UNLV on his list as well. So
Southern Cal, too? He might as well have Southern Cal on
Did not mention Southern Cal.
Didn't mention that? Okay.
So he's got to decide if he wants to come to a rebuilding place or to a place that's to one of those places that's already an established tournament-type program. So we'll see what happens. Let's jump to the calls, and we go to Greenwood, and we welcome in first tonight and first this week, Bulldog Bert. Hello, BB. How are you?
Well, Gamecocks, you find out what happens when you play in the junkyard.
Oh, you're talking about little baseball blow-up over the weekend, huh?
Well, anytime they want to come to Athens, they're going to find out what is proven and unproven. I like that word you use when you're describing Hudson Mason, an unproven quarterback there.
Well, you think about it here now. BB, listen, you won the football game. You beat the Gamecocks in Athens in basketball, and you took the baseball.
My
so
goodness.
Has it turned back towards Georgia? Has South Carolina's domination of Georgia ended?
Oh, my goodness. just don't wake me up, because I know I'm not dreaming. It's the reality, folks.
Well, tell me
We
this.
are back on top to stay. Get used to it, Gamecocks, because this year you're going to find out it's all back to normal.
Okay. Well, it was back to normal, but how good did it do you? Where did you end up in football in the top 25?
Well, we are looking forward to the future.
Oh, is that what it is?
The old year is behind us.
Bulldog
and
Bird.
years before us. We're looking for a road paved to Atlanta again.
Don't you have to
with
worry about
tar and
Clemson
feathers.
first, though? Don't you have to worry about Clemson?
Who?
You know, your season opener against the orange-clad Tigers, who, you know, they whipped up on you pretty good last year, if I recall. Got to hit a break. We'll be right back.
Ready to get our rhythm back. It's a process, and to get our minds right, to get into another series, to get into a fight again. It's going to be great for the team, great for us to really just get back at it and kind of test ourselves and see if we can advance.
Wizards and Pacers get underway tonight. Game 1, 7 Eastern. The Wiz reached the conference semifinals for the first time since 2005. Haven't reached the conference finals since '79. Pacers won 12 straight at home against Washington, but nobody really mistaking that streak.
Stand by.
It's the Monday edition of Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from our Learfield studios. Good to have you along with us wherever you happen to be. If you're catching us over one of our great affiliates around the states, that is tremendous. If you're listening to us via iHeartRadio, that's great as well. Our Greenville affiliate, WGVL, our Myrtle Beach affiliate, WSEA. You can catch them on iHeart to follow us. If you lose us over the air, can't find us any other way. Or the website, of course, is always available to you. Audio feed and video feed as well. 800-956-7266, the number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Phil Kornblut, the professor, Tom Hayes with you. Clemson getting underway in this game against UNLV. Steve Wilkerson is out tonight because of a shoulder injury. Took a pitch up in the shoulder yesterday, kind of a deep shoulder bruise, so he is out of the lineup tonight, and that's why Eli White is starting at the second base. We'll keep you up to date on that ball game as we move through the evening here on Sports Talk. Now, I mentioned a little while ago, in connection with the release of Mark Schlabach's preseason top 25, we've got for you the Sports Talk release of the two promos, dueling promos for Clemson football and USC football. We'll go with the Tigers first because it's longer. So here is Clemson's football promo for 2014.
If we can get guys to come and take a visit at Clemson, then we have a great shot because it's different. This is a special place.
Here it is, the most exciting 25 seconds in college football.
Out on the field, they constantly want you to get better. And Coach Sweeney and Coach Morris, all the other coaches, they want you to get to the next level and just be the best that you can be.
Being around them, you can definitely sense the feeling that they care for you. It's a family, and that definitely helped me throughout my process with coming here and being a great player. Clemson really prepared me not just for football, but life after football and that next level as far as physical-wise with elite in the NFL and stuff like that, then as far as stepping out in the real world. So Clemson's going to really contribute as far as not just football, but as a man, too.
If you come here, you're going to have the resources that you need to be successful. This is one of the top 21 public universities in the country. So you're not only competing with the best of the best on the field, you're competing with the best of the best in the classroom. Take the final top 10, and you rank them by graduation rate, Clemson is second. We're seventh in football, and we're second in graduation. So there's very few schools that are winning on and off the field like we are here at Clemson.
But to me, it's about that young man. It's about him growing up into being something, and being something that not only Clemson will be proud of, but obviously the parents that are sending them to Clemson will be proud of as well.
And they're going to leave here prepared for what's next, whether it's the NFL or whether it's to be a great husband, great father, a great employer, a great employee, whatever.
You're destined to succeed. This from the time you get here. We got great coaches, great, position coaches and strength coaches. We've got player development guys that can help you not only on the field but off the field as well.
Anything is possible, unthinkable, and I think that's the truth. You can put your mind to something, and you definitely can accomplish. That's why I'm here today, 3 years in my career, and having the opportunity to go to the NFL, because I think coaches do a great job with engraving in your mind at all times that you can do it. Anything you can put your mind to, you can do it.
It's all about the experience, the atmosphere, the family, the love for one another, and it is awesome.
You will always be a part of something special, I believe, here at Clemson.
There's one huge reason why all of our former players can't wait to get back here. As soon as they leave, they're gone and they're this and that. And you know what? They're back here as soon as they get a chance. As soon as they get a break in their schedule, whatever, they're back. And the reason is they had a great experience.
I love it here. I was blessed to come here. This place gave me an opportunity to do something that I dreamed about doing. I dreamed about playing professional football. For me to have the opportunity to come here, for me to have the opportunity to have donned this orange uniform and to go out and play the game and to go on to the next level and being proud of the school that I came from.
Monday through Friday, we kind of mind our own business. We're in the academic business. But then on the weekends, we're in the show business. And then all of a sudden, there's 100,000 people rolling into this town, and it is just, it's unbelievable. The electricity that comes with that, it is like nothing else. It makes grown men cry.
It never gets old. The crowd is on you. Your adrenaline's going, your heart's racing.
It's just a sea of orange. It's almost, the sound's almost deafening.
I get a different feeling every time. I get more excited each time we play a home game, and I definitely love putting on the show.
Damn, I feel like running through a brick wall or something. That just has got me all fired up, and that's the point. That's what they're trying to do. They get you fired up about Tiger football and Clemson University. Now, I think today, that's been out for a couple of weeks. Today, USC released its GamecocksOnline.com video promo for its football program.
Here, nothing is given. Everything we get, we fight, scratch, and claw for. But the thing is, we like it that way. Put us in the toughest league in the smallest state, and we say, let's go. Because here, we were raised to never back down. We battle, because that's what Gamecocks do. We believe that a blue collar and a garnet heart can take you places you never thought possible. Here, we have the toughest stadium in the country. And for 4 quarters, we'll rain down a noise that'll ring in your ears long after you leave. Here, if it ain't swaying, we ain't playing.
Undefeated at Williams-Brice Stadium.
Here, when we fall, we dust ourselves off and get back up. That hasn't happened very often. Because here, we have the head ball coach, and you don't. Here, they said it couldn't be done. Well, guess what? We're doing it.
Back-to-back 11-win seasons.
And we're not close to being done yet. Here, it's great to be a Gamecock.
What a great voice. Wonder where they got that voice. Here it's great.
They've used it a few times.
How about that line, though? How'd they put it? We've got the head ball coach and you don't?
Mm-hmm. Can't have but one.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff. There you go. Dueling promos. No longer is it enough just to have the what do you call them? Not the billboards, but the things they hand out. The posters.
I'm trying to.
No longer is it enough just to have posters.
I'm
to promote your team.
I'm trying to figure out what laid it on more thick, with a blue collar and a garnet heart, or on Saturdays, Monday through Friday, we kind of laid back when the academic.
Well, we could go through both of those promos, do a little fact checking, and find out a little bit There's a good bit of hyperbole for those outside the state who don't really know. There's a good bit of hyperbole. I mean, there's not 100,000 people at Clemson on a Saturday.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, if you count the people maybe, in the surrounding counties, but in the stadium there's on 80,000. And we all know that Williams-Brice it can be extremely loud when it's packed, but we also know it's not packed every game.
20,000 people outside tailgating can't get in trying to get into Clemson.
All right, we're going to hit a break, and we'll be back. More Sports Talk coming up.
Wait, so when did you talk to him? You can't get any of that kind of stuff on the record? You get an interview with him lined up? You actually got an interview with him? Okay, I didn't see it. Okay. Step back.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk. No Mike Morgan tonight. Mike is traveling. Going to do a baseball game at Wichita, I think it is, tomorrow night. So he is not with us tonight. The Braves, my goodness, 6 straight losses. They entertain the Cardinals tonight, and it will be Aaron Harang going to the mound for the Braves. Of course, he was not good the last time out. Shelby Miller going to the bump tonight for the Cardinals. And tell you a little bit about what Miller is doing. He's a right-hander, and so far this year he is 3-2 with a 3.15 ERA. We might hear from Mike after he lands. Okay. Well, I don't know if we'll have an opportunity to work him in. So if we don't, we'll pick up with him hopefully tomorrow night. So the Braves, all of a sudden, for so long, Pro, they could do nothing wrong. Now it appears as if they can't do anything right, and Gavin Floyd is going to be jumping into the rotation this week.
Yeah, because they got I think Irvin Santana has a bum thumb, so they're going to move him up and then have Santana pitch, I think, on the weekend against the Cubs. Here's the interesting stat of the weekend, which tells you baseball is still one of the most tremendous sports because you never know what's going to happen. San Francisco swept the Braves over the weekend at Turner Field. Phil, they did not have one hit with a man in scoring position. All of them were either a 2 or 3 run shot or a solo home run. Other than that, San Francisco, I put to take that back, 2-run homer or a solo homer, because they had not one hit with a player in scoring position, but swept 3 games, which tells you the Braves offense. When Freddie Freeman is not hitting, then you know there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So now they are really gotten anemic with the bats. It'll be interesting to see if they can come out against St. Louis tonight.
All right, we'll keep a watch on that game once it gets underway. Do you want to get more from your college education? Well, Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education, and they do it online. Now, you can find out more. Visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. All right, let's get back to the phone calls. And Ronnie in North Augusta, you're up next here on Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, Phil, how you and Pro doing tonight?
Yeah, we're doing great. Good to have you with us.
I know you've been up there for enough of Dabo's press conferences and all. You know Dabo usually likes to stretch things out a little bit. And then if he decides that promo is not quite long enough, they've always used that line about the most exciting 25 seconds in college football when they run down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could make it the most exciting 3 minutes in 25 seconds, and they could put that in there with Dabo on the bus coming around the hill up there, but the way that ESPN did it that night, because I got to admit, that's one of the most exciting things I've ever seen in my life.
They did a great job with that. That's part of their promo. If you look at the video, they've got that intercut in what they're doing. That was some of what when you didn't hear anybody talking, they were showing the buses coming around. Yeah, that was that Florida State night. But you know what? What it goes to show you, and this is no knock at them, this is for anybody, you can have all the hype in the world leading up to a ball game and all the excitement, but when you get on the field, if you don't have your focus on and you don't play to your best, you can get embarrassed. And so as great as the pregame was, the game for Clemson against Florida State was awful. Absolutely awful.
Bill, you know what? I was bragging on you last week, but I'm highly disappointed in you to think that I actually meant that. I mean, I spent my whole life trying to be a jerk and make fun and jokes and Clemson.
Wait a minute.
You go sit there and think that I was actually
you weren't sincere.
I was actually thought that would be something good, and I actually enjoyed that. I thought that's the joke part of it. He looked great till they come down the hill.
You got me. You got me on that one.
Yeah, have a good night.
All right, Ronnie. All right, I think we made Ronnie's week.
Yeah.
He got me on that one. No, I thought he was did he not sound serious to you?
He sounded very sincere.
Yeah, so you got me on that one, Ronnie. But I will say they, and they loved it so much, of course, they had to redo it for I think it was not the South Carolina game. The Florida State, was it the Georgia game? No, it was the Florida State game. It was Georgia, but Florida State was the one that they really blew it up big, didn't they?
Yeah.
No, wait. You know what? I think I'm wrong. It was the Georgia game. When they first televised the buses going all the way around, and it was great. And Clemson went out and won the ball game.
The big opener for ABC. Remember the evening game for first week? It was the big game that night. So.
Right. That was terrific. And then they tried to redo it for Florida State, and it just didn't go well in the field. And I don't think it was maybe as good. It's never as good the second time around. I mean, tell me how many movies the second time around are as good as the original?
Better than the original. Godfather 2 was better than the original. Yes.
I can't. I mean, you can count on one hand. The second go around that was better than the first. All right, we're going to hit a break, and we'll be right back.
It's also eerily similar to the opening line of Step by Step on TGIF. We'll make it better the second time around. Yeah, that's stuff I don't touch right there. No. Yeah, women's stuff is women's stuff. I'm leaving it alone. Oh, yeah, when he goes down the first level of the hill. He's got it now. You can tell he's made a couple practice runs, man. He's got that thing down. Screw being white. I don't want to deal with him because he's sorry. Oh, you're out of your mind. That dude's terrible. Less athletic than I am. JJ Redick.
Discussing the virtues and values of J.J. Redick during the break there. I think J.J. Redick, watching that series, I had forgotten how great a player he was in college. He was a very good NBA player. You cannot leave him alone.
No, here's the
once
deal.
He crosses half court, you got to have a hand out in front of him. He's going to knock it down. And State Man saying he's not athletic. I saw him make several driving baskets in that series.
Here's the deal.
Good player. I'd have him on my team.
When J.J. Redick was at Duke, he was all shooter. He got to the NBA You saw his nutrition develop. He hit the weight room. He became a ball player after he got to the NBA. I think he was a specialist shooter in college, but he
come on, all-time leading scorer in the ACC. He's more than a specialty shooter now.
All-time scorer because he stood out at the three-point line. If suppose you didn't have the three-point line,
hit
every free throw he ever took.
They did. I mean, you can't say they didn't.
But I'm
did.
saying that's all he was. He was a shooter. He became. Now you see him playing some defense now, even sticking his nose in the rebound sometimes. And boy, I could just look at Steak Man just melted the headphones about the Steve. and Steak Man, yes, he carries a Matador cape, but a lot of guys in the NBA carry a Matador cape.
I like him as a player, and it's going to be a great series. Clippers and OKC. That begins tomorrow, right? What do we have tonight? Tonight we've got Pacers and Wizards. I think we have Pacers and Wizards tonight.
I think that the Nets don't jump right back into the fray. No, they don't.
Can't. They're not back to back.
I know.
There's one other game tonight as well. Let's see. It would be it can't be San Antonio. The Clippers aren't playing tonight, are they?
Clippers and OKC.
Is that tonight?
That's the nightcap. Yes,
oh,
sir.
okay.
Yeah,
that should be dandy. The problem is, all the teams except for the Heat were extended. And the Wizards maybe not so much, but they were too. Everybody else, they were extended to the max. I mean, how are they going to get – it's going to take a couple of games to get back, get those juices going like they had in those first-round series.
Plus the matchups, a little bit different. This may be Miami's most difficult matchup.
Well, they lost all 4 regular season games to them.
Yeah, Wade only played in 1 or 2 of them. I mean, so you got to watch who was in those games and who wasn't, because they really don't matter now. They jump into the nitty-gritty. It'll be interesting to see. I think finally Jason Kidd is starting to trust his bench. For some reason, he didn't trust his bench. And then, of course, Paul Pierce was on the floor yesterday when he sat on the bench.
Hard to figure. How do you have him sitting on the bench? I know, one of the great clutch players of recent years in the NBA, and you got him sitting on the bench. That made no sense. All right, top of the hour break. USC pitching coach Jerry Myers will join us in a few minutes, and you'll also be hearing from the transferring point guard to Clemson, Avery Holmes, coming up in the next hour, and recruiting.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, an action-packed hour to come. Jerry Myers in a couple of minutes. Avery Holmes a little bit later on. Recruiting as well. Torrance Gibson has released his top 15 in order. We don't have time to give that to you now because we have Mike Morgan standing by. And nothing comes in the way of Mike Morgan. We'll give you Torrance's 15 in the recruiting report later on. There is a state school amongst the 15. But right now it's time for Mike Morgan and our 6-game losing streak Braves report. So, what is the problem?
First of all, I'm just glad I'm not interrupting the East Coast Hockey League report because I know my place on the priority list. But
yes, absolutely.
Yes, it's hard to put your finger on in some ways, but then again, in others, it's not. They're just not hitting. They're hitting 130 with runners in scoring position. They're hitting about 200 overall. They just haven't been able to put the ball in play. Pitching has not been incredibly great, but it's been good enough to win, I would say, at least half of those games. So already Freddie Gonzalez making a couple of changes. How about this? Aaron Harang is going to hit in the 8-hole, the pitcher, and it'll be Ramiro Pena batting 9th in place of Dan Ugla. So sometimes extreme situations need extreme measures, and that's what Freddie Gonzalez is taking tonight.
Now, is it a case where some of the pitchers have caught on and say, well, you know, with Gaddis and Freddie Freeman, we'll pitch around them because nobody around them are hitting, or the fact that it's anemic throughout the lineup?
Well, Fro, you know my take. If you've been listening to this report now since the beginning of the year, my opinion, my overall thoughts on a couple of these guys hasn't changed. Dan Ugla is continually going to struggle against Major League pitching. B.J. Upton, to me, is going to continually struggle against Major League pitching. Jason Hayward is not a leadoff hitter. So all three of those things, and, you know, they were kind of disguised in April when the pitching was so good, and Freddie Freeman and Evan Gaddis were kind of carrying them in some close games. But you're absolutely right. If you can go around those guys, or, God forbid, Freddie Freeman starts going into a slump, now you really have an offense that becomes anemic at times, and that's been the case during this 6-game skid.
And you are headed where to do what?
I am in Wichita to do Wichita State, Kansas State tomorrow night on ESPNU. It'll be 102 degrees tomorrow during the day, hopefully a lot cooler when we sign on at 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Well, give Greg Marshall our best when you see him.
I will. Somehow I'll do that, yes. I'll pass that along.
Okay, my man. Enjoy yourself. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.
You got it.
All right, Mike Morgan with our Atlanta Braves report. Braves and Cardinals getting underway shortly. Brought to you by Whit Suber of Home Shop Realty, where you pay less for more. Call 803-518-3888 today and experience the Home Shop difference. Some good news from USC batting practice today. We'll get that from Jerry Myers coming up here after the break on Sports Talk. All right, back on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut, the Professor Tom Hayes up at Duck Kingsmore, top of the third. Clemson with a 2-0 lead on UNLV. Tigers trying to make it 4 in a row, 2 in a row over the Rebels. 2-1-0 for Clemson, 0-1-0 for UNLV. In the first, Boulware walked, and let's see here. He walked with the bases loaded to score a run to make it 1-0, and then a double play ball from Oki got the second run home for the Tigers. All right, so there you go. Clemson up 2-0. Let's welcome in USC assistant head coach, pitching coach Jerry Myers to Sports Talk. Coach, how are you tonight?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
We're doing great. Thank you for being with us. First of all, understand a little bit better news from BP today regarding a couple of guys that have been out for a while dealing with injuries.
Yeah, well, we had a couple of guys that took BP over the weekend that hadn't been in there with DC and DC Arenas and Max Schrock, and Max has been taking a little bit more BP each day. DC, unfortunately, was hitting the head right before Friday night's game and was had to come out of the lineup before we even started the series. But hopefully, DC will be definitely back. Looks like, and hopefully Max on track as well, and obviously we can use him.
Very good. Now, as far as the performance against Georgia over the weekend, from a pitching standpoint, it seemed like you had two pretty good outings and one shaky outing by Crow yesterday. Let's talk about Crow, freshman who's been so good for you most of the year. Kind of struggled here in his most recent outings. Is it simple enough to say he's hit the freshman wall, or is there something else going on with him?
I don't think it is the freshman wall. I mean, he threw 4 innings against Alabama as well as he'd thrown all year, and then had some trouble in the 5th last week. But those first 4 innings, he was showing his best stuff, his best command. His velocity was as good as it had been all year. So physically, I don't think he's hit any kind of plateau along those lines. But he's just been a little bit inconsistent, and when he's had those spurts of leaving the ball up or missing the zone a little bit, they've been kind of compacted into one inning, and one inning that's been enough to maybe shorten his outing. But he's given us a big bulk of very good innings. His last 5 starts, he hasn't won record-wise, but we've won I think 2 or 3 of his last 6 starts, even though he wasn't the pitcher of any decision in those outings. But he has left the ball up. He's leaving it in the middle of the zone a little bit too much, but correctable errors. It's not a plateau or diminishing look with his stuff or anything along those lines. So he's a pretty hard-nosed kid. I think he'll get back on track hopefully very quickly.
Looking prior to the Georgia series, how nervous were you with Joel Seddon out there taking BP and then infield before?
Yeah, did you give your blessings for that?
I can't say that I put my stamp on that, but it was whatever we needed at that point. He's very capable of fielding ground balls, and he does it some in practice, and he's obviously very athletic. But if need be, he can go out there and you've still got above average defender, and swinging the bat is obviously tough to do, and having faced probably no live pitching in over 2 years, if not more. And that part of it probably scared me the most if he were to have to play. But defensively, he has really good hands, and he could go in and play a very, very solid infield spot or outfield spot in a lot of situations.
Where do you put his performance this year in comparison to some of the other outstanding closers you've run through USC in recent years?
Yeah, you know what? Hopefully at the end of the year we're having a conversation that he's right in there with the rest of them. But up until this point, I mean, we couldn't have asked any more from him, and and hopefully he can just maintain it, be consistent. You know, when he hasn't had his best stuff, he's competed and figured out a way. When he has had his best stuff, you know, he's been able to, you know, handle the situation, you know, on his terms. And he's done a nice job, obviously, along with you know, some other guys and some of the guys that don't get made mention of, and some of the younger guys that have given us some quality innings. And, you know, Joel just happens to be the guy that's been out there at the end of the game, which is a very, very tough part of the game. But he's done, you know, an outstanding job, and, you know, he works extremely hard, and hopefully he can keep it up.
Talking with USC pitching coach Jerry Myers, Josh Reagan, Reed Scott gave you some good work yesterday, and they've been quality for you. You at all tempted to find a different role for them, or are you happy using them in that middle relief sort of situation?
Well, we need those guys, Reed Scott and Josh Reagan, Taylor Widener, you know, Hunter Privett. You know, Hunter hasn't pitched that much, and some other guys out of the bullpen, Kurt Britt. We need those guys, and not just you know, when they've gotten most of their action on the midweek games, but we need them on the weekend. It's we've had the very good fortune of having our starters most of the time. I'd say, you know, a good chunk of the percentage of outings they've gone fairly deep in the games where the game's shortened into, you know, maybe between 9 and 12 outs to go, and you know, we haven't had to use some of that middle relief. But yesterday was an instance when we did, and we played matchup, and you know, it made me you know, proud of those guys was that they were ready to go, even having not been in an SEC game in a while. Reed Scott, Josh Reagan, Taylor Widener have you know, came in there and pounded the zone and gave us a chance to try to stay in that game and get a chance to come back.
Evan Beal, I know injuries have beset him one way or the other through this season. What's his status now as you move forward here with 2 more SEC weekends to go?
Right. Well, you know, he's healthy now, and you know, he battled that early on, and it didn't always feel great even after he was activated again. But he is healthy. He's thrown the ball, you know, as well as he has in other times in the past. And you know, what's been a little bit difficult with him was just to find a niche once he was activated again. We were, you know, into the thick of our season, and you know, roles were, you know, semi-defined, and you know, we had some midweek games where were very important to get some opportunities and some innings out of some guys that didn't pitch on the weekend, and he did a good job of doing that. But he is healthy, and you know, with looking at our numbers as we go through, you know, the last 8 regular season games, we've got to decide, you know, how many pitchers we'll keep active when we have to narrow the roster down on weekends, and who's active and who's not. But he stays healthy. You know, we've seen him in the past. He's very capable of contributing.
Besides the broken nose here of late, is there any other reason why he hasn't pitched since the game against Upstate back on the 23rd?
You know, it's probably more so because, you know, as coming back, you know, kind of guarding his back a little bit, we felt like, you know, starting was going to be, you know, a little bit easier for him to prepare. Not that he can't come out of the bullpen, because I think now at this point he can. But, you know, with some other guys that have, you know, double-digit appearances out of the bullpen, even some of those younger guys we just mentioned, obviously, along with Mincy and Seddon, you know, we haven't really had a defined role for him. It's just kind of been a little bit of a victim of the circumstances, and so with that, you know, it's hard to have a hot hand, and we tend to go with guys that, you know, have had multiple outings and have put up some numbers and been, you know, contributing on a consistent basis. You know, sometimes guys get put in that situation where their role stays undefined, and that's kind of happened with him a little bit.
Real quick, Coach, who starts for you Wednesday?
We're not sure yet. You know, we're coming off a weekend where a couple of those guys we just mentioned were candidates. Reed Scott.
All right, hang on one second, Coach. I hate to do this. Got to jump to a break. We'll finish up in a moment.
6 NBA playoff road games. Randy Whitman, if he wins tonight, he'll join Pat Riley and Mike Dunleavy as the third to win their first 4. Whitman, an Indianapolis native, back home. A lot of tickets. You wouldn't put a number on it, but a lot of brothers and sisters and family in attendance here for Randy Whitman.
Yeah, it's funny. Usually you hear the players talking about how many tickets are staying focused. Well, Coach has been here since his high school career. Half of the left side, the north side of this arena is all coaches.
David West at the free throw line. Nene picked up his second foul. And it will rim in for West. C.J. Watson in for Indiana. Martell Webster and Trevor Booker in for Washington. Schedule here. We'll have Game 2 for you on TNT on Wednesday night. Series shifts to Washington. Game 3. ESPN's got it. Then back on TNT for Games 4 and, if necessary, Game 5.
Just look how this Washington Wizards team is built. They have big men that are more than capable of scoring inside and also going out to hit the 15-footer. Why does that help? Because you got guys that can run off the pick and roll. Bill, I believe, is going to be one of the best shooters in this league when his days are said and done. And then you have this guy going in and rebounding. It just seems like the total balance of this Wizards team is exactly what the fans want.
Crashing the boards. Marcin Gortat is now going to the free throw line. So active now in his 7th year in the NBA. Began his career with Orlando.
All right, stand by, guys. Coming back. All right, back to finish up with Coach Jerry Myers. Didn't mean to force you to hang over, but I wanted you to finish up what you were going to tell us about Wednesday. So right now, undecided about your Wednesday starter versus Wofford?
We are. We're kind of waiting. They're playing today, or they're probably done by now. They had a midweek game, so we're kind of waiting to see what their starter looks like, and it doesn't necessarily pend what decision we might make. But Reed Scott's coming off of an outing; he should be fine to go. He's in consideration. Kurt Britt's fresh, and he had been throwing the ball well. Evan Beal might be in that game as well. We're going to probably split it up. We want to keep throwing some of the guys that had thrown in relief over the weekend, and a couple of midweek games had outings over the last 2 weeks. So to keep those guys rolling along with the guys we've been using frequently on the weekend. So that game could get split up a little bit, and one of those guys I just mentioned will likely start.
All right, Wofford lost to PC 11-10, and Wofford used 5 pitchers in that game. I don't guess you're too concerned about their pitchers, but they scored 10 runs. They lost 11-10 in that game.
Yeah, I saw they were trying to make a comeback, and I didn't see the last inning here as I was driving. But with a Monday game after a good series win against the Citadel, I'm sure they'll rest up and throw what they need to against us and play matchup and kind of do a similar thing and maybe split it up pitching wise. But they've got 126 stolen bases, which is unusual to see this time of year, and it's one of those deals where that's how they try to put their pressure on. So we'll have our hands full, just like any other game.
Well, they stole 7 in this game, and one thing I noted listening to the broadcast, it seemed like Georgia had success running on you guys. I don't know if it was that Griner or your guys having a difficult time holding them on, or just their overall speed.
You know what? They try to get some action going. They kind of pushed the envelope a little bit against us, and got a couple good jumps. There was a couple bang plays, on a couple of stolen bases. Grayson got a couple good throws off. For the most part, they ran on rhythm and had a couple good jumps, and Montgomery maybe was a little slow to play a couple times, and didn't give Grayson a chance, but. You keep putting pressure on there, you're going to get some, but most people haven't tried to run a whole lot. We've done a decent job on the mound trying to hold them, but the respect Grayson gets back there, is probably the big part of us holding the running game. But they were able to get a couple, and for the most part, if we bear down on it, we've just got to give him a chance to throw them out, and most of the time he does.
Coach, we thank you for the extra innings, and we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon, and we'll see you out there Wednesday night.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. USC pitching coach, assistant head coach Jerry Myers. Wofford now 25-24 with their win today over Presbyterian, as Coach said. Wofford coming to Columbia on Wednesday night to take on the Gamecocks. Hey, do you want more from your education? Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. Gonna hear from Avery Holmes, headed to Clemson as a point guard. Also in recruiting, not good news for USC when it comes to recruiting quarterbacks. Tell you that story coming up.
Shots in the opening quarter. Second quarter is coming up.
We're not blind. We can see it too. The basic 11 that I can read. I hope we can handle more. I got a feeling Barack Obama probably demands more than 11, you know? It takes all of 11 of us to check out his entire face. He needs to just market it like homeboy did the unibrow, Anthony Davis. The snore tot. That's right, yeah. Where are you going to do the show from? Yeah, Todd, you know better than that. Seven.
I mean, it feels good, man. You know, God's good. Just really blessed to be with a, I mean, it feels good, man. You know, God's good. Just really blessed to be with a,
All right, up at Doug Kingsmore, bottom of the third, it's 2-1. Clemson leading UNLV. Tigers scored 2 in the first. Rebels picked up 1 in the third. Thanks to Jerry Myers for being with us once again here on Sports Talk. Stay tuned for recruiting coming up in a little bit. A lot of big stuff. Of course, you know USC lost Shane Lemieux over the weekend. We'll talk more about that. And one of their top quarterback prospects is not going to pick South Carolina. We'll tell you about that coming up. And, of course, USC in the hunt for a player who's transferring in basketball. Now, Clemson is getting a transfer. His name is Avery Holmes. He spent the last 2 years playing for the Dons of San Francisco. He's a native of Oregon. I had a chance to talk with him this afternoon. He was in the airport preparing to fly back to San Francisco. So the cell, for the most part, is pretty good. It gets a little weak for a few seconds, so bear with us there. But anyway, I asked him, he signed his financial aid agreement with Clemson today, so he's all set with the Tigers. And I asked him how it felt to become a part of that program.
It feels good, man. You know, God's good. Just really blessed to be with a coach like him. You know, obviously the style of play he has is fits my style of play, motion. He gets up. You know, talking to him, you know, he's a straightforward guy. You know, he cracks some jokes. He's a good guy, man, and the staff there is pretty good too. They know what they're talking about, and I mean, yeah, he's a good guy.
One thing about Coach Brownell, he loves defense, and he really expects his players to play tough, hard-nosed defense. How do you feel about that side of the basketball?
I mean, yeah, defense, you know, wins championships. You know, I'm glad we play tough defense. You know, I feel like I'm a tough guy, and I play some defense, you know, so I can fit in my personnel.
Talking with Avery Holmes, who is transferring to Clemson from San Francisco. So how did Clemson work its way into position to get you so quickly?
You know, I signed the lease, and, you know, they contacted me, one of the schools that contacted me. You know, they obviously, the situation they have with the point guard spot, you know, they want to get me on campus as fast as possible. So, you know, I made it down to South Carolina. And, you know, with that situation they have for me, you know, sounds right. You know, the stadium, like, you know, the campus is amazing. And, you know, obviously it's in the ACC, you know, the ACC has a lot of history to it. So it's special to be in the ACC and play for right now.
Is this your first time visiting South Carolina and visiting Clemson's campus?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So what was your overall impression of what you saw of the surroundings, the type of town and area that Clemson is compared to what you were used to?
I mean, San Francisco obviously is an amazing city, but, you know, Clemson, it seems like obviously it's a college town. Obviously, you know, like the football games, and, you know, it's a good fan base. And people love Clemson, and I mean, it's a beautiful place. I mean, there's a nice lake. I mean, I like it. It's really nice.
Of course, you're from Oregon, Salem, Oregon, so I guess you're not exactly a big city boy, except for the fact that you spent a couple of years in San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, Salem's a little small town, you know, but, you know, being in San Francisco for about a couple of years, you know, you get to understand what big cities look like and what they're about. But, you know, I like to fit over in Clemson.
Very good. Avery Holmes visiting with us. He's headed to Clemson. You signed your financial aid agreement before leaving today?
Yeah.
So you're all set to go with the Tigers. What kind of player is Clemson getting in you?
Like they're getting a tough point guard that will, you know, go to war with the guys. I can shoot the ball pretty well. You know, I'm a good guy. I'm unselfish. You know, I feel like they're getting a tough guard.
Do you prefer standing outside and taking long shots outside the three-point line, or do you prefer to put it on the floor and try and get to the rim?
I mean, you know, if they have a hand down, I'm gonna shoot it. You know, but I just let them whatever they give me is what I'm gonna take. You know, if they're offside, I'm gonna drop right past. You know, so it doesn't really matter. You know, I can finish at the rim, I can shoot the ball.
Now you're going to have a whole year off because of the transfer rules. So, what will you work on in your game between now and when you'll become eligible to even take your game to the next level?
Definitely just finding different ways of finishing at the rim. There's always a way you got to get in flow of the game. I'll work on my handles a little bit, tighten them up a little bit. But probably just different ways finishing at the rim is what I'm saying. Either if I dunk the ball or maybe I should just flow over the guy. Just different situations. You got to work on that.
Was there any other schools you considered once you decided to transfer besides Clemson?
I mean, I considered some schools and stuff. The first, Colorado State was actually the first person home, and then, Oregon State and Colorado. So the Clemson was the one that tried to make it happen the fastest. So, I mean, they were the ones being productive the most. And, other schools contacted me, but I felt like Clemson was taking it more serious to another level.
That's good you didn't choose Oregon State because they just fired their coach. So
yeah.
That wouldn't have worked out. How's your family feeling about you coming all the way across the country to finish up your college career?
It's people realize that. Obviously, have family and not being on the West Coast, kind of is like, wow, he's going all the way across the country. But you got to realize that when you were when I was in San Francisco, I was still like 10 hours away from my family, so it's not like I could go drive there and come back. I really didn't get to see my family a lot. But, it's going to be the same thing, but I'll be obviously knowing that they know that I'm always across the country. It's going to be a little bit more difficult, but they just excited and happy for me and with the what I got going for me.
Do you have any family in this part of the country?
Yeah, I do. I have actually a lot of family in D.C. and a lot of family in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, that's only about 90 minutes from Clemson.
Yeah, and I got a couple of my head coaches in high school actually live around. Probably like my assistant head coach in high school lives about like 25 minutes away from Clemson, and my head coach, assistant coach lives about like an hour and a half away from me. So, I still got some people around me.
Well, that's great. When do you come back to Clemson to begin your academic work?
Probably in the summer around June 2024, something around there.
Very good. Well, have a safe trip home, and we appreciate you visiting with us tonight. Congratulations once again on hooking up with the Tigers, and we'll get a chance to meet you, once basketball season rolls around. And I know Tiger fans will be excited to see you play in, I guess it's going to be 2015. So we look forward to that. But, again, thanks for being with us, and have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Very nice young man to talk to, Avery Holmes. And this, as of right now, this fills out Clemson's roster. He becomes the 13th member of Clemson's roster. You can have 13 on scholarship. He'll be on scholarship, and that fills them out. So I would not expect them to add anybody else. They'll have seniors next year: Rod Hall, DeMarcus Harrison, and Ibrahim Jumbo. Juniors: Landry Noko, Jordan Roper, Josh Smith, and Avery Holmes. Noko's a junior next year. Am I right about that?
I think so, yeah.
Jerron Blossom Game, Austin Ajukwa, and Sidi Jite, the sophomores. Patrick Rooks, a redshirt freshman. And Gabe DeVoe and Dante Grantham will be true freshmen next year. So that will round out Clemson's roster. Now, South Carolina, they got a terrific possibility here with their potential transfer, and we'll talk about him coming up here in recruiting. But Frank Martin has said a couple of times here recently, nobody is transferring out of the program. I guess at least for now, nobody's transferring out. But
somebody's got to go.
Well, yeah, because they're over the limit right now. They're at, let's see, 1, that's 4, that's 11. They're at 14 right now.
Yes.
That's 7 in the sophomore class, and 3 freshmen coming in right now. So even as it stands right now, they're 1 over the number. And we'll give you that recruiting report in a moment. Okay, let's update the baseball from Clemson because the Tigers have now taken a 4-1 lead. They're going to the top of the fourth. Krieger had an RBI double. Bottom of the third, and Oki sacrifice fly. 2 more runs for the Tigers. They're up 4-1 as they go to the top of the fourth, seeking their 4th win in a row. All right, let me get to the recruiting report here in just a moment here on Sports Talk. Before I do that, I want to tell you that if you want more from your education, Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. All right, let's give you the recruiting report for tonight. First of all, over the weekend, Shane Lemieux, who had been unofficially committed to USC, but in his mind when he committed, he was going to be a Gamecock based on everything he was saying. But after visiting Oregon, he made the change to the Ducks over the weekend, telling us it was just better for his family. Traveling away from his mom for college would be hard, he said. Oregon made it clear he could compete for a starting spot his freshman year. So the distance and being closer to his mom, that played a big role. So USC
when did
back
his mom
to
visit Columbia?
Beg your pardon?
When did his mom visit Columbia?
I don't think she did.
See, no, the decision was made by mom, because if she didn't come to Columbia to visit, she didn't want him here in the first place.
Yeah. They were going to come this summer, but
Right.
I don't think it was ever going to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that leaves USC with 7 in the class, 1 offensive lineman in Paris Palmer. Quarterback Torrance Gibson of Plantation, Florida, released his top 15 in order as Tennessee, Auburn, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma, Miami, Florida, NC State, Oregon, Central Florida, Virginia Tech, Alabama, Michigan, and Nebraska. Doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you're way down the list in order of the top 15, but you are there. Offensive lineman Josie Milton, 6'3", 290 of Clinton, Louisiana. He plays offensive tackle for his high school, but he has the skills to move to center. He has 21 offers, including USC, and the Gamecocks have told him they like him as a center. And he said, quote, "They said they're only taking one center, and I'm the top guy for that position. I like it there a lot, and I've heard a lot about the fan base and Spurrier." And he says, if I play center, I may be able to last longer in the game. He talks every couple of weeks with recruiter Deke Adams, who was in to see him in late April. Ole Miss, West Virginia, and TCU have also been through. He may visit USC this summer. Does not have any favorites. Also has offers from Mississippi State, Arkansas, Arizona State, Oklahoma State, South Florida, and Southern Miss. Athlete Jalen Julius of West Orange, Florida, has been committed to Florida the past couple of weeks. USC came in, and they were surprised by that, he said. He said, quote, "They told me I broke their hearts when I committed to Florida." And he said the Gamecocks told him they're still going to recruit him. He thinks he'll go to camp at USC this summer. He does call his commitment to the Gators strong, but he plans to take other visits, also Miami and Ohio State. He also has Auburn and Georgia Tech and Ole Miss, Tennessee, Michigan, Wake Forest, Ohio State, Penn State as offers. USC today offered linebacker Andre Smith from Jacksonville. He's been committed to North Carolina. Also, the Gamecocks offered another North Carolina commitment, offensive lineman William Sweet. Says he picked up an offer today. He, too, is from Jacksonville. USC quarterback target Brandon Wimbush from New Jersey today said he'll be committing tomorrow, and it's down to Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Miami, Penn State, and Boston College. So a top USC quarterback target off the boards for them. Basketball, Daniel House Jr., 6'7", a top recruit in 2012, signed with Houston. Frank Martin recruited him in 2012 at Kansas State and then at South Carolina. And now House is transferring from Houston. He's going to visit USC Thursday with his parents. He's looking forward to meeting Martin again. He likes how Martin is firm and disciplined with the players, and he gets a lot of love and support from Martin on this transfer, he said. House is a native of Fresno, Texas. He'll visit UCLA May 13th, also Iowa and UNLV, and possibly one other. He's never been to USC before, so he wants to learn all about it. And he's going to appeal to the NCAA for immediate eligibility, citing the fact that his coach left and got hired at another job. He doesn't like Kelvin Sampson and the new staff, has no relationship with them. He's uncomfortable, he said, with Sampson and all the violations behind him. So he will appeal for immediate eligibility. He was Conference USA Rookie of the Year, 13 points a game last season.
Canadian hoops. North Pole hoops. That's right. That's right. They'll find a way. All right, stand by, gentlemen. Coming back.
Well, with Brandon Wimbush going elsewhere, South Carolina has to really turn its attention to Lorenzo Nunez. I think he is their other top target out of Kennesaw, Georgia, and he too is going to make a decision maybe by next week. He had told us it was going to be within the first couple of weeks of his spring practice, which began today. So that's something to keep an eye on moving forward with the South Carolina recruiting. Oh, I also wanted to mention a couple of other things in recruiting. In basketball, Newberry has signed 6-foot guard Devontae Foster from Carolina High in Greenville, averaged 20 points per game and led Carolina to 59 wins, 3 region championships. And Erskine has signed 6'5", Nelson Spence out of Lexington. Actually, he'll be signing tomorrow. He's been committed. Now he'll be signing tomorrow. Oh, and we've confirmed from his coach that Shamik Shepard has signed his letter of intent to South Carolina and sent that in.
Yeah, I was trying to find where I read it, but I read about a week ago that he went back to his old high school in Brooklyn for some type of ceremony to sign his papers.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've got that now confirmed by his coach. UNLV has scored a run in the bottom of the fourth, so it's 4-2. I'm sorry, top of the fourth. They've gone to the they've gone to the bottom of the fourth, and Clemson is leading Vegas 4-2. All right, and let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention to you. NFL draft. If you weren't aware, the NFL draft begins on Thursday. Mm-hmm. A little note here on Clowney. Now, this person, I don't know who wrote this. Somebody who covers the Texans says Houston has a unique insight into Clowney. Didn't know this. Their new strength and conditioning coach is Craig Fitzgerald. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, former USC conditioning coach. Where did he go when he left USC?
Penn State.
You're right. Thank you, State Man. He was at USC 09 to 11. And the father of Houston's new quality control coach, you know who the new quality control coach is at Houston with the Texans? His name is Will Lawing, son of Brad Lawing. So obviously, he knows a lot about Clowney as well.
You know who the owner of Houston is? Have to be a USC grad.
That's probably the ultimate connection there when it comes to that decision. All right, so Pro, if you had to hedge your bet, who will be the first pick in the draft Thursday night?
I think it'd probably be Clowney.
Will they keep him? Will it be a pick to keep or a pick to trade?
It might still be a pick to trade. See, the discussion I was saying that sounded convoluted is also on the table where they pick Clowney and then they sit there and at number 6, Atlanta picks Bortles.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they can play Bortles 6 money and say, well, you were the 6th pick, even though we had the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I don't think his agent will probably go for that.
But, hey, you never know.
All right, that will do it for Sports Talk tonight, assuming that he gets through customs. K-Mac will be back with us tomorrow night. Chances of him getting through customs and getting back with us, State Man?
13%.
All right.
Ding, ding, ding.
Very good. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.